I think we all know how insane Dandadan is with its characters, art style, and overall plot. But I think what makes Dandadan so special is how surprisingly beautiful this show can be. Because in the midst of all the chaos, scenes like in episode 11, 10, and 7 stood out to us but still worked really well within the world of Dandadan. But why does this combination of beauty and insanity work perfectly for this anime? Before we can answer that, we have to understand what makes this show beautiful in the first place. Dandadan is beautiful because of the way the author, Yuki Nobutatsu, tricked us into learning classic lessons in life. He made us believe that pure chaos is the only thing we can expect from this anime. That Dandadan is just about getting your family jewels back and beating any aliens and supernaturals that come your way. But the truth is, nothing is ever black and white. The author subtly showed this throughout Dandadan using characters, storytelling, and lessons he secretly put in the show. For example, one of the lessons that we can learn from characters like Acrobatic Silky, Mr. Mantis Shrimp, and Taro is to never judge a book by its cover. Now I can tell that some of you might think that this is cringe, because it can be. But the way the author packaged this lesson in these weird and wacky characters made it more interesting for us to learn it. When we saw these three characters on screen, we can tell that they were weird as fuck and scary as hell. That's why in our minds, we think of them as more your classic bad guys who do evil things. That's when the author hits us with a sad backstory that even Naruto would be proud of. But how exactly did Dandadan manage to pull this off? Well, in the beginning, everything was set for us to be against the aliens and the supernatural. At least that was the case with Turbo Granny and the Serpoians. Whether it was taking Ayase Banana or Okurun's Johnson, the author wanted us to think that aliens and the supernatural are just plain evil. That is, until we learn about Acrobatic Silky that it's not as clear-cut as we once thought. The first time we saw her, you and I both knew that she looked evil. She's over 2 meters tall, has no eyes, a mouth that can swallow a person whole, and hairs that she can control. Well, that's exactly what the author wants us to think. But later on in episode 7, we learn that she's more desperate than evil. Desperate to find her missing daughter who she thought was Ira. The way the author revealed this was poetic and beautiful. From the heartwarming scenes of Acrobatic Silky trying her best to provide for her daughter, to the tragic dance sequence where she eventually took her own life. The scene direction, the music, and our point of view were set perfectly so that our eyes were glued to the screen. The same can be said about Mr. Mantis Shrimp. We all thought that he was just some weird ass villain who wanted to beat Okurun and the gang for money. We didn't know that he was desperate either, but again, this was intentional, because the author wanted us to learn a great lesson and be entertained at the same time. It's kinda like slathering peanut butter on a pill for your dog. But why does Dandadan's insanity work so well with the heartwarming scenes that teaches these great lessons? To answer that question, I want you to take a look at this picture and tell me what stood out to you. The red flower stands out because it's different from the rest, but you feel like it's out of place and doesn't belong with the other flowers. Then you realize that even if it's a different color, it's still a beautiful flower and you appreciate it even more. In the sea of chaos that is Dandadan, the scene where Taro confessed his love to Hana stood out to us. Not like a sore thumb, but more like that red flower we saw in the picture. Because while the setup to that scene is batshit insane, we're still mesmerized by Taro's confession because it's something that we didn't expect. Even better, we also learn about the lengths that people would go to when they're in love, teaching us a great deal about having the courage to take action for the people we care about. Now when you say the lesson out loud just like I did, it can become a bit cringe. But that's the beauty of Dandadan. This show just makes these lessons so easy to digest while still keeping us entertained. Now is this why people are so obsessed over Dandadan? Yeah, it's a part of it, but I think more of it has something to do with the current state of anime as a whole, where the style or general feel of each anime that's being released is more or less the same. I'm not saying that the other animes are bad, it just sort of follows this cookie cutter formula that works based on other successful animes. With Dandadan, the author's creativity is not limited to any formula and the art style is just so cool and different. And since there's been an announcement about a second season coming in July 2025, I'm confident that many people would agree with me when I say that this anime totally deserves all the love it gets for being both insanely wild and surprisingly beautiful. Hey y'all, it's Obin here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. And honestly, I think Dandadan might just be the anime of the year for me because of how unique it is. But what do you guys think of Dandadan? Do you think it's the best anime of 2024? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, I make videos on anime characters, and what we can learn from them. And if you like that type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, stay awesome.